I'm not going to say HGTV, but HGTV just... They love that. I watch it all the time. I watch it all the damn time, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing that.
Thank you so much for joining us on Evolve Your Brand podcast, produced and owned by Icon Industries. We thank Shane, Steven, and the whole team at Icon Industries. Today, I am very, very excited to introduce Chris Dolnikowski.
Bingo, you've got
Beautiful. Ruland Design Group. And we are going to talk everything with ADU and also Chris's journey on how she ended up working with Ruland Design Group, and we're going to have some fun. So let's get going. Chris, thank you so much for joining us.
I'm excited to be here, that's for sure.
Yes, this is, we got a chance to get to know each other a little bit off screen. So I'm just going to hit you with some quick 60-second rapid fire. Let's get to know you a little bit. Where were you born?
Back in Pennsylvania. So I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I grew up just outside of Pittsburgh.
Beautiful. Favorite beach in San Diego?
Oh, geez. Probably Mission Beach.
Okay. Favorite pastime activity?
That's a toss-up, either mountain biking or outrigger canoe racing.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear later about the canoe racing. You went into that. Tea or coffee?
Coffee. Decaf, though.
Decaf?
You did not want me on caffeine, honey. Oh,
really?
Lordy, no. Yes. Okay. All decaf.
I'm taking on your challenge. And one time I'm going to tell you it's decaf, but it won't because I just want to see what happens. Do you get intense?
Oh, I just talk super fast. I mean, we're like, okay, let's go.
Amazing. Dogs or cats?
Cats, but I love dogs as well.
Okay. And your favorite quote that you live by?
Everything you need is inside you.
I like that. I
wrote that on my arm in Sharpie for my Ironman race.
Okay, you've done an Ironman.
4 of them.
What?
And hey, you know what? It's a lot of fun. It is a good time, and everything you need is inside of you. And that was my mantra for getting through I'm a very slow Ironman racer, so that was my mantra to get through 15 hours of racing.
And you've done 4?
Yes, because I didn't learn the first time. That was hard as shit.
I'm really excited to hear that story someday.
It took a while to learn that lesson, but yeah.
And okay, so what was the most challenging part about the first one? The first Ironman. What was the unexpected part where you just you were not prepared for that?
The unexpected was just probably my cheeks hurting so much from smiling. I was just in seventh heaven because I was there with a bunch of my teammates that have been training together, and it was just such a huge accomplishment. I was just like, oh my God, this is awesome. Very tiring. And that bike ride took a long time. And then I had to run a marathon afterwards. But I just loved it.
Chris, you know one thing I picked up from you? You love teams.
Yes.
You love teams.
I'm an extrovert. I'm very team oriented. We've got Ruland Design Group has a great team of 20 people. Love working with people and love being part of a team.
I'm so excited to hear about Ruland Design Group when we get to that. Favorite restaurant in San Diego?
I'm a little biased.
That's okay.
Probably the Henry Restaurant in Coronado because we've designed it.
Oh, okay. So if you want to see the body of work, go to Henry's.
Henry's good.
Favorite taco spot? Since I know you love tacos.
Tacos. Probably the taco shop. Probably the taco shop in North Park.
Okay. And what is your favorite taco to get there?
Oh, fish tacos.
Oh, fish taco all the way?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you get corn, flour?
Corn.
Okay. All right.
Traditional.
Okay. I like it. So let's jump into it. Talk to us about your story. You were born in Pennsylvania, Steelers fan. How'd you end up in San Diego?
So after graduating from undergraduate, I was like, sick of the snow. It's cold, so we're done with that. Had a great opportunity at an aerospace contractor, defense contractor in Newport Beach. So I came out to California because I'm like, hello, why not?
Right.
And I've been in California ever since, so just a few years. And I started my early career as an engineer.
Okay.
And then progressed more to program management. and love doing that. Again, very team oriented, so instead of being a silo where I'm stuck just designing my thing, program management had the breadth of looking at the larger projects. And it really is about coordinating communication, working with a team, getting all the left hand and right hand to talk to each other, versus the intricacies of doing an unmanned air system. And so it's all about getting a team of 1,200 to be on the same page, and which took a lot of us.
A team of how many?
1,200 at times.
Okay.
It was a very big team. And so it's being able to take that scale of keeping everyone on the same page, focused on the goals, and being able to execute. And those are the skills that when I decided to leave the corporate world and join Audrey Ruhland with her design firm, where I'm like, let's implement some of this structure.
Okay.
And so by implementing some of that structure, the checklists, the templates, the processes, all that I brought from the corporate world, I then pulled into, architecture design world. And knock on wood here, it's gone amazingly well. And it's absolutely the best decision. And I wish I would have done it sooner. But you know what? Now we're just able to help so many people with their designs and accessory dwelling units and having room for their families and so forth. So it's extremely rewarding.
Yeah, do you know how bad I want to jump into the ADU conversation? But I'm not going to yet. We need to find out.
We got some time.
We got a little bit of time. So we're going to. So your experience in the defense contractor world, like I know you talked about some of the things that prepare you. Is there anything you miss from the corporate world?
Not very much.
Right?
Know what? I loved the people I was working with. I loved the team. We were supporting the warfighter. So it was very, very, deep and powerful moving cause. So absolutely love that. But it was tough because I was a cog in a very large wheel.
Right.
And so it was hard to kind of feel that direct, I'm making a difference. And so now with a smaller company, with Ruland Design Group, I am making a difference. I am literally talking to the people, that need a space for their mom. And how can we make that happen? And so that's where the corporate world, I love that structure. I'm thankful that I had many years in a corporate environment at various, enterprise levels, from very large companies to small companies as well. But that gave me the background that I could then just leverage. And so I'm very thankful for the corporate world that gave me that background. But I'm also loving the commute that is from my bedroom into my office in my home.
Yes.
So I'm loving the commute and just the ability to interact with so many more and have so much more of a direct impact that I can literally go and see and feel.
Your gas bill is really low.
It is. It is. It's very low.
How did you connect with Audrey? How did that happen?
Actually, through outrigger canoe racing, of all things.
Get out.
Yes,
Okay.
I've been doing outrigger canoe racing with my team Kailua here in San Diego, and every year we get new people that come try it. She came to try it, worked out, started hanging out, started chit-chatting. Amazing person, and you know what? It literally worked out incredibly well, and now we're working together, and it just naturally fits very well. I focus on the outreach, the education, helping our new clients.
Right.
Audrey is our architect and creative genius, and she focuses on our designs. And it is, again, working out exceptionally well.
If you notice, every time you knock on wood, I'm joining you.
I appreciate that. Appreciate that. You know what? Thankful for everything that we've had and created, and looking to do more.
That's amazing. What's the best part about working with Audrey?
We share some of the very same values and focus on wanting to help people.
Okay.
Both of our moms are still alive. I'm very thankful for that. Mine's 92. Hers is turning 94. Actually, I'm sorry, turning 95 next month. And they both live alone still.
Oh,
and
got it.
And they are still double knock on that one.
Double knock.
They are doing great living on their own. But the accessory dwelling units that we're designing, I'm actually designing 2 of them in our backyard, and maybe one's going to be for either her mom or for my mom. Being able to have our parents close by. And that's really, it's a labor of love where, we both share that value of how can we create space for families to be able to live together, space for families to be able to afford to stay in San Diego.
Right.
And we blend very, very well together.
So here's my question for you. Like that was a great point that you brought up. And I heard helping families several times, and just the way you speak about it, you're so passionate. Where exactly do you see like the housing crisis in San Diego, and how is what you guys are doing making an impact? Like what's your goal for you and Audrey and the Ruland Design Group? What's your goal in regards to helping families understand what ADUs can do?
And that's where in San Diego, I've been in San Diego almost 20 years now.
Thank you for growing our population.
Exactly. So I've been here a while, and thankfully I bought in North Park years ago when I thought it was expensive then. And now I'm like, dear God, thank God I bought then. And
I love equity.
Exactly. But that's where it's like, had I not, and I'm like, I want to live in North Park because it's an awesome place. No way in hell.
Good luck.
It's craziness. And so that's where our goal is to continue to help people be able to have room for their families, be able to live in the city where they want to live, and be able to have the people where coffee and tacos and beer, my three favorite things, is be able to go and have the people that work in the restaurants, have people that teach our children, have people that support, with our police and fire and all of the support agencies, be able to live near where they work. And that's really the focus where our goal is to continue to create housing.
Have you noticed a shift with regards to multi-generational? I feel like a lot of families I work with, because we sell money for a living, so I see that coming back. Have you seen a change in COVID with people being more receptive to having families come and live by building ADUs? What spurred the growth with ADUs over the past 2 to 3 years?
Definitely, we just don't have enough housing.
Right.
And it's incredibly expensive. And so on the family side of things, like whenever I talk to someone, I'm like, what's your goal? Is it for family or is it for rent? It's like, okay, it's for family. Well, then let's break that apart. So is it for aging parents or elderly? Or is it for the kids coming back from college where they can't afford a $900,000 starter house?
Thank you so much for bringing that up.
Hello. So we kind of have both sides. And a lot of our clients, we're working with the older parents who they have now adult children, and those adult children are now having kids. And a lot of the ADUs we create the ADU for the older set of parents, and then the younger generation adults are in the main house.
Right.
And then the grandkids are right there. And that's really, I think, a great setup where number one, there's independence. So everyone has their own private space. So you can have your sanity and yet still be close to your family. And if you look at that from the perspective of the kids coming back from college, well, again, who the hell can afford a $900,000 home? And it's not in the area that you want, and It's this big. And so we're creating ADUs for them where, again, they have their own space. The parents keep their sanity. Everyone keeps their sanity. And yet people are close by. And like I said, with my mom, I would love to bring her out here. She's back east right now.
Is she in Pennsylvania still?
She's actually outside of Boston.
Okay.
So, it's one of those things where it's like, I'd love to have her close by. I get to visit her often, thank goodness, but I'd love to have her close by. And that's where the ADU that I'm doing in my backyard would be perfect for her if she decides that she's ready to come out. And then I have an ADU above that I'm creating for rent.
And the two ADUs, what's the square footage on what you're creating?
I started with converting my garage.
Okay.
That was about 1.5 car garage. So the downstairs are going to be about 370, and the upstairs is about 380, 390.
Okay. All right.
So cute little studio downstairs and a cute little 1-bedroom upstairs.
I'm really looking forward to seeing them before and after.
Yeah.
That would be fun. That's one of my favorite parts.
Definitely.
So I'm a family living in San Diego right now. I potentially have the space. How do I get started? What is it that Ruland Design Group is going to help me with if I was interested in getting an ADU project and seeing what could be done? How would I
Sure.
get started?
You want to start with talking to me. You want to start talking with a designer. A lot of people are like, I'm going to talk to a contractor. Great, but if you don't have your plans and if you don't really know what's possible on your property, that's a tough place to start. So, I talk to new people and I'm like, where do you live? What's your property look like? What does the municipality you're in? How do they support ADUs? We look at what the goals are. And then, of course, we always talk about budget. So we look at the perspective of here's what's possible with your property. And then we also need, the homeowner to understand this is not a $50,000 change. And if they want, say, a 1,200 square foot, 2-story ADU in their backyard, it might cost upwards of $350,000 or more. So it's understanding their budget and understanding the goals and seeing what's possible on their property. Right. And that's where we talk to new people to understand what that feasibility looks like.
What's the common misconception you see with people starting to explore ADU for the first time? What's the common misconception? Besides a contractor, what mistakes do you normally see?
I'm not going to say HGTV, but HGTV just... They love that. I watch it all the time. I watch it all the damn time. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing that. I think the common misconception is how quick it's going to happen. And, HGTV, they're going to knock out load-bearing walls. They're going to put up that beam, and then they're going to get permits, and they're going to move in on Monday. No. And it takes a long time.
Right.
In air quotes. And it's going to take longer than you want it, unfortunately.
Have you done ADU projects in other cities besides San Diego?
All over San Diego. So Oceanside, the county, Chula Vista, Carlsbad, City of San Diego.
And each municipality is different when it comes to their guidelines.
Absolutely.
Okay. What are some of the things that you need to be aware of when it comes to, let's say I live in Oceanside, who's going to help facilitate all that?
Yeah. So what happens is the state said you shall have ADUs, and each municipality said either, okay, great, like City of San Diego, or others like Coronado are like, no, go. I'm going to dig in my heels as much as
Coronado
I can.
would see no.
Shocking. And so each municipality is slightly different. And they must follow the state law, but there's enough nuances that each one's slightly different. So a lot of it comes down to, are you on a single family property? Or are you on a multifamily property? Do you have a little duplex? Are you close to the coast? Are you in the coastal overlay zone? Some municipalities make it a little bit more difficult by charging higher fees. Some municipalities try and make it easier by allowing you to have more units. Every municipality is slightly different. And there's 22 of them throughout San Diego.
And one of the things I read on your bio is having done what you've done, dealing with the bureaucratic. How is that? Because I saw one of the podcasts that you were on, and it's really, really interesting. There's been a lot of changes to ADU.
A lot.
Right?
Rapidly evolving.
What are some of the key changes that have happened in recent months, in the past 6 months with ADUs and permitting and all that? What do you see changing?
The biggest thing is all of the laws coming out are to support homeowners, are to support more housing.
Amazing.
So everything is going in the direction of making it easier, more housing, and allowing those opportunities. Even some of the state laws that are being discussed right now up in Sacramento are continuing that to make it easier to create more housing. Some of the challenges are just, if you can imagine, it's a great thing. ADUs, I've yet to hear of anyone say it's a bad idea.
Right.
So we've helped over, several hundred clients, have done over 450 ADUs at this point, and the building departments can't keep up. And that's the challenge. The building departments aren't staffed enough to handle the volume that they're getting. So that's the challenges is timelines. If you think about the timeline, you kind of have 3 chunks of time.
Right.
The first piece is creating the design. That's where my team comes in. The second piece is getting those plans reviewed by the city. That's where the city is overwhelmed and understaffed. And then you have the construction time. So we're seeing, City of San Diego alone, earlier this year, I was talking to one of the directors and they had 150 job openings with the building department alone.
I heard that.
Think about how you can run an organization if it has 150 openings. So it's just a challenge. It takes a long time. I love the people at the city. They're doing as best as they can. They've got some more funding to outsource some of the plan reviews. I'm like, great, as much help as you can get. But it's just not fast. We're still seeing at least 5 to 7 months once we give them the plans for their review. At least. And it can easily creep up from that.
You know what's really surprised me? When you have someone on your staff that's actually just doing that.
Oh, 2 people.
Oh, it's 2 now?
Yes. They're a full-time job.
Okay, so how come?
Bless their hearts is the interface with the building
because
department.
the growth has been that exponential?
Yes. Just because, we typically start between 9 and 10 new projects each and every month. So we've got several hundred projects.
So you're doing 120?
Roughly.
Wow. Yeah. That's a lot.
It is.
And you're one of the top companies when it comes to that, because I think I saw 300 and now you said 400.
We're over 400 and creeping up on 450 now.
And how many was last year? How many ADUs did you guys do in 2022?
I think 109. 109.
So you're right. And how's projections for this year versus last year?
On track, and we're adding 3 more people to our team.
Yeah, even with the cost of money.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, the interest rates have gone up.
Yeah.
So very challenging, absolutely challenging. But at the same time, the need is there. If you think about, God forbid my mom needs assisted living or Audrey's mom needs assisted living, that's insanely expensive, right. Versus having her close by and then maybe bringing in some caretaking help, but at least she's close by. So the interest rates are high, but it's still, we need the housing.
Right.
And I'm focusing on renting our one ADU and hopefully having one of our moms in the other ADU. But at the same time, I love the rental income. And so that's where I'm like, you know what? Plan for my retirement a little bit more.
Chris, you couldn't have set that up any better, because I was going to transition to investors and now talk to our investors. So how is an investor approach with building an ADU different than if you're doing it for family or your kids? How would you approach that differently? Do you guys give different, goals? Do you have different approach when it comes to investors wanting to add ADUs?
Definitely, it's a different perspective.
Okay.
It's a different perspective. And some of the new laws that came out a couple years ago allow ADUs on multifamily properties. And that's actually the sweet spot for investors.
Okay.
Let's take an example. City of San Diego. They are by far the most supportive of ADUs. And so say you have a multifamily property. Say you have a 4-unit apartment complex and you've got a row of garages and you've got a little bit of a back area space. City of San Diego will allow you to convert all the garages into ADUs and will allow you to have 2 more ADUs on top of that as new construction. And if you want more, then we could talk about the affordable housing options. So from an investment perspective, ADUs are a cash cow.
Right.
The argument that I'm sure some people are thinking about right now is, well, if you convert all the garages, where are you going to park?
Yes. Great question.
So parking comes up a lot. And you know what? I have my garage. I've never put my car in my garage, ever. My bicycles were there. My mountain bike was there. My gravel bike there. My tri-bike was there. My bicycles were there. The holiday decorations were there. My car never went in the garage. So of all the homes I go to, of all the properties I go to, of all the apartment complexes I go to, maybe 1 in 50 is there a car in the garage. And it's storage. So I'm like, okay, do a little Marie Kondoing, kind of clean things out and create some housing. So from the investment perspective, it's all about keeping the design straightforward and economical. So we want to minimize construction costs. We do that across the board.
Okay.
But if we're looking at from the investment perspective, we're laying out the most optimal design and we're lining up the kitchens and bathrooms together to create a plumbing wall to minimize construction costs. We're mirroring the designs So again, we're keeping things as straightforward as possible. We're keeping things that are as uniform as possible so that when they go in and buy 50 windows, it's 50 of one type and not 25 of 30 different types, that sort of thing. And it's just the ability to create more housing. We're not the company to call, though, if you want to create the tiny little 150 square foot units.
Yeah.
The city does allow you to have the smallest, the state allows you to have the smallest units, 150 square feet. That's tough. I mean, that's a college dorm room.
That's like the mini homes.
The little tiny homes.
Yes.
And you're like, that's great, but we really like slightly bigger units, a little bit more livable space. And we've created some smaller units, but at the same time, again, trying to focus on creating some storage, creating some livability as much as possible.
And it also, I think the benefit is affordability too.
Big time.
Addresses, because ADUs don't cost as much. So it does create a lot of housing. How much of an impact has it made as ADUs have become more relevant as far as a solution in creating housing? How much ADUs were built in San Diego during the past couple of years? Do you know?
Oh boy. I wish I had the statistics. I had the statistics. It's been exponential growth.
Right.
And it's into the thousands.
Didn't you say your company has gone through a 400%?
Yes. We've grown considerably. When I joined Audrey back in 17, we were smaller and we focused on ADUs and then we grew. And actually during 2020 with COVID and everything, what happened? People were stuck at home.
Yes.
The kids came back from college. Everyone was stuck at home. Everyone was losing their minds because they're all under one roof. And we're like, we need space. And so we actually grew a lot during COVID. I mean, it was a very, very scary time, but we were able to, we've even had some projects where we never even went to the home, that we saw the backyard. They wanted a new detached. We did all the design meetings on Zoom. It was safe for everybody. And you know what? Now they have a space that they can rent out to provide for their family.
One of the best things to come out of COVID and the pandemic was the virtual meetings being accepted.
It helps.
It really does make everyone's life easier.
Yeah.
So when it comes to construction, you said something interesting to me where you guys don't do the construction aspect of things.
Correct.
So how do you vet your contractors? How do you go through that process? And do you guide families in finding contractors? Because it's a difficult thing to find a great contractor.
Absolutely.
So how do you facilitate that with families and investors?
Sure, absolutely. Because our focus, we're a design firm. So we do everything from I want one to here's your permits. So we do the design, the detailed construction documentation, and we do all the interfacing with the building department. Because again, that's a good time right there. So we have a bunch of our clients who have contractors that have built our designs, and we really rely heavily on their experiences. So when you're looking for a contractor, and this is the same thing if you're looking for a designer or an architect as well, you want to look at, do they have experience doing what you're doing? So, some contractors are great at kitchen remodels. Well, if you're building a 1,200 square foot 2-story home, that might not be your best choice. And some people are like, oh yeah, I work in Oceanside. I do all my projects in Oceanside. And if you're in Chula Vista, again, there's different nuances that, might not be the best choice. So you want to look at who has experience doing what you want to do. Again, same with an architecture firm, do they know ADUs? How long have they been in business? Did they just start last year, or they've been around for 20 years? Do they have experience doing the size and the scale of your project? Have they only done garage conversions? Have they only done bathroom remodels? Are you creating a complex hillside, dig deep, crazy foundation kinds of things, or you've got a perfectly flat backyard where you can convert the garage? Those are two different people, both for design and also for construction.
Right.
And so when our clients are looking for help, we're like, we have some contractors that our other clients have used that they loved and raved about, and we at least give them some options. And I'm like, talk to them. because a lot of it also comes down to communication. Do you kind of have that good vibe? Are they responsive? Do they get back to you?
How did you pick your construction company that's working on your ADUs? What was your primary factor?
Well, we're going what's called owner builder.
I had to do it.
Exactly. So like, what's yours? Well, I can tell you who designed it, and Ruland Design Group designed it.
I know who. Was it Audrey?
As a matter of fact. So we're going what's called owner builder. And so if you're a homeowner, you can literally build it yourself, be owner builder, or you can hire a general contractor. Because we've been doing and designing homes, and Audrey Ruhland, actually, she got started in the business of architecture by basically designing her own home.
Okay.
And when she was very young, and so she's like, you know what, I love this. And so we have the experience. So we just have known different subs throughout, time, and we're working with a great team that we have worked with in the past that have worked on other projects for our clients. And right now I have big piles of dirt in my backyard, and I've got my sort of garage frame, the original garage kind of up there, and I've got trenches everywhere and a porta potty in the backyard.
I'm so looking forward to it. Have you actually done a before after? Are you doing videos? Are you doing with your marketing person? Are you doing any marketing on it or no?
I am taking photos. I have our design, I have our renderings, and I have our photos, and hopefully we'll do a little montage when we're done. And hey, let's come over and have a little tour.
Yes. So what's your favorite part when you're do you have a favorite project that you've worked on where it just stands out, like it was just so much fun?
Oh boy, geez, that's a lot now. You know what? I think there's a couple favorites.
Okay.
So I think one of my favorites is a couple that we met a few years ago. Again, they were in their 60s and early 70s, kind of in retirement, and their adult kids were now having kids, so they got the grandbabies. And this is where we were able to create an ADU for the older parents. The adult kids were now living in the house, and then the grandkids were there. And that just that spoke to me, because it's like, you know what, that's great. And again, everyone has their own space. I know my mom is fierce about independence, so it's like they have their own space, the grandkids are there, but yet, when it's time, you go back to mom now. And then one of my other favorites is Mount Soledad. Mount Soledad.
Oh, come on.
Beautiful.
Really? Okay.
But guess what? It's Mount Soledad for a reason. It's a damn steep hill.
Yes.
So went over to talk to our client. He's like, has a beautiful house. I'm like, oh my God, I love your home. And he's like, yeah, I want to put an ADU down there. And I'm like, where are you going to put that ADU? So we kind of scrambled down the hill. He's like, yeah, down here. I'm like, ooh, okay, all right. And that was probably the most technically challenging project that we've done. And it actually won one of our awards for complex site. Because not everybody has a flat backyard.
Right.
If you got a flat backyard, good for you, but not everybody does. And so we were able to create a really amazing 2-bedroom, 2-bath design for rent. He was going to rent it out and take advantage of the views, but kind of half build it into the hillside and then half extend it out over the hill, because we want to take advantage for the topography. We wanted to not have to scrape everything and make giant, $200,000 retaining wall. No, we use the hillside to our advantage, and it's being constructed right now. So,
it is. So it's not completed yet.
No.
And what's it going to rent for, you think?
Oh God,
I know.
He seems. It's going to have a beautiful view of the shores. Right. Probably at least $5,000 or more.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah.
You said it's a 2-bedroom,
2-bedroom, 2-bath.
Good, but with view.
Beautiful
view is worth $5,000.
Beautiful view. Yes.
This has been so much fun. Let's talk about, so the name of our podcast is Evolve Your Brand. So how is marketing and brand change for Ruland Design Group over the past couple of years? Like you said, you have a marketing person.
Yep.
So how are you educating the community, educating San Diego, and getting your message out?
My marketing person would just bust out laughing right now.
I love it.
Because,
Yes.
I mean, it's a challenge.
What's her name?
Kendra.
Okay.
Kendra with Field Marketing. And so with that is, we started a small women-owned architecture firm. So that right there, I mean, how many strikes do you have against you in trying to create a business? And so again, we've been wonderfully successful for over 20 years. My focus with the company is that outreach. And so I think that's a lot of the marketing is getting out there and then sharing the knowledge. We don't charge for site visits. We don't charge for consultation. We don't do any of that. It's all about getting out there in the education. So we love to, connect with homeowners, with realtors, with contractors, with investment groups and so forth. Because that's where it's like, you know what, I'm happy to share all of the knowledge. And then with that, we've thankfully, again, a lot of people that come to our website. We have a gorgeous website, I think. I
love your website.
Very pretty. And it has a lot of, I think, useful information to kind of help people understand where to start. And, but, I don't think a lot of people talk about this. And again, we're very thankful for this. But we have to be a little bit careful of our marketing because we don't want to get so many people coming in so many projects where we don't have the staff to support. And so there's a balance. There's a balance. And we've joked in the past with, again, Kendra from Field Marketing, and we joked about turning off the website because we wanted to be careful, because if I have, 30 people on 1 month of like, okay, I'm ready to start. I'm like, we're scaled for about 10 to 12 a month. And I don't want to turn people away. So it's that combination of getting out, doing the outreach, I think is our biggest thing that we do, is getting out there. It's the word of mouth. And we talked again about, putting signs out and so forth. But I'm like, what if everyone calls? So it's a balance. And I don't think a lot of people talk about that. And we're very thankful to be on the forefront of ADUs and have been able to do so many of them that a vast majority of people come to our website, come looking for us. And so we've created a name just by being able to be out there and helping so many people.
I'm blown away by your standards.
It's been a challenging growth. We've definitely had our growing pains. We've absolutely had our growing pains. And I feel that some of our competitors out there are going through their growing pains now.
Right.
And it is a challenge because so many people, the demand is there. The demand is there. ADUs are very needed and very helpful with solving and helping to solve our housing challenges. But yet, how do you keep up with that demand?
Right.
And that's where we try and make sure we can help as many people as possible.
Speaking of demand, how's your competition been? Like when it comes to competitors, like have you noticed a huge
people jumping on the bandwagon?
Yeah.
People absolutely jumping on the bandwagon. It's kind of the same thing with technology. You have your early adopters.
Right.
Then you have the people that jump on the bandwagon. And then you have people who are like, oh yeah, I'm missing the boat. I need to jump on. We were the early adopters. So we were able to get a head start, understand the laws and how the building departments were interpreting them. We are happy that there's more people out there doing ADUs.
Okay.
And
how so?
Because we can't help everybody ourselves, so it's like, yay, again, it's if more people are doing ADUs, then more people know about ADUs. So we love that. And some of my good friends are my direct competitors because we're all in the same bucket. We're trying to help people.
Yeah.
And there are hundreds of thousands of homes and hundreds of thousands of properties that can have ADUs. And if I'm doing 10 a month, there's plenty of other work. So I'm happy to support, I'm happy we have get-togethers and happy hours and little meetings with our competitors because we're like, dude, let's have a beer. And what pain and agony are you seeing? It's like, oh my God, did you see the building department, what they're doing? I support that. And again, it's great. It's just be careful who has the experience.
Right.
Because it's complicated. It's not just an ADU, it's a real house that you're creating.
How many companies should I interview if I'm thinking about doing that?
If you're thinking about doing it, probably 2 or 3.
And definitely Ruland. being at the.
We're happy to help.
Okay, we're happy to give them a plug.
We're happy to help.
What impact are you going to leave behind in San Diego? What impact do you want to leave behind?
A friend of mine asked me years ago what was going to be my legacy.
Yes.
And I just really love the fact that we're creating so many homes for people and so many opportunities for people to stay in San Diego. And I was on a webinar about a year and a half ago, and it was a lot of the not in my backyard people. And so I do want to bring that up a little bit, because people are like,
Please do.
I live in North Park because I wanted my single family home. And it's like, great. But again, I love North Park because I can walk to coffee, walk to get my beer, walk to get my tacos. I don't have kids, but we have some great schools and so forth. We need to create that housing. And so there's some not in my backyard people that are like, no, I don't want all these, giant apartment buildings. Again, we're not that firm that's creating the giant apartment buildings, but we need housing.
Right.
And there was someone on that webinar that said, you have no right to live in San Diego. If you want to live, if you want to live in California, go to Modesto, go to Fresno. And I'm just like, wow, it's one of those things that's like, what about your kids? And what about when you get old? What about the caretaker to help you?
Right.
One of my other favorite projects, we were talking about what stood out, was an older gentleman, super nice guy. He was getting old. He was single, and he wanted to create an ADU with a little bit bigger, so he had room for a caretaker when he needed it. So, that's the kind of thing where it's like, what do you mean you don't have any right to live here? It's like, what about the people that need to support the community? Just because you bought your house years ago doesn't mean someone else can afford to now. And so I really look at the legacy for Ruland Design Group and for myself and Audrey Ruhland is to be able to create housing so that families can stay, people can rent, and they can be in the neighborhoods they want to be in.
Chris, being a real estate professional, I can't thank you enough. Like, sincerely, I think that's what we have to talk about more, which is how do you solve affordability? Yeah. Build more housing.
Yeah.
Build more housing, make it easier to build,
Definitely.
And you talk about the municipalities and, all the red tape that goes with it. And everyone that's a builder or in the design field complains about the same exact thing, which is difficult.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for making an impact. What is the one question I should have absolutely asked you and I didn't do it?
Oh boy.
At least I'm keeping you on your toes, right?
Kind of cover a lot of them. The biggest thing we talked a little bit about it, how long is it going to take?
Yes.
So okay. let's kind of, again, break that down a little bit. So the design, creating the design, getting all the details, 3 months, 4 months, can absolutely go faster too if we're like, okay, let's put a rush on this. Building department, they're getting better. Right. They're getting better. Bless their hearts. But they're still overwhelmed, and we're still seeing plan for 5 to 7 months.
Got it.
And then construction depends on who you pick. More expensive goes faster, cheaper goes slower, but 4, 5, 6 months depending on what we're doing. So it's going to take a year and a half. A year and a half or more.
So if I start now, I'm not building my ADU until the end of 2024?
You're not moving into the end of 2024, probably. The fastest, quickest, cheapest way to get an ADU, convert your garage. Roughly speaking, say you've got a 2-car garage on a single family home, convert that into a cute little 1-bedroom ADU. You're in about 120 to 150K all in.
Easy solution. There is one program we didn't talk about.
Ooh.
The affordable
bonus
we didn't even
program.
get into that. Let's wrap. That will be the last item we talk about, and then we'll sign off.
Okay, fantastic.
I'm really excited to hear about this one. This was new to me.
So, City of San Diego. So this is City of San Diego specifically.
Right.
And hopefully more areas will adopt it, but right now it's City of San Diego only. This applies to single family and multifamily. So, example, single family, you live on the property. You can have an ADU and a junior ADU, smaller size. So you've got a big property, you want more. You're like, I need room for my mom, want to rent, I'd love more rent. Next one, you can create another one that's affordable housing unit. If you create an affordable housing unit, then you get another one that is market rate, your bonus ADU. So you can take a primary home, have a junior ADU and ADU by right,
Right.
affordable housing unit, affordable housing ADU, then another one as a bonus ADU. Now, if you're in a transportation priority area, then you can do another affordable housing unit and another bonus unit, and that keeps repeating until you basically run out of room. Now, the affordable housing unit, you're deed restricted to moderate, low, or very low income.
Okay.
You get to pick. It's a 10-year or 15-year deed restriction. And again, if you do an affordable housing unit, you get that bonus one. So it's an opportunity to add more units. Some people have a giant property.
Right.
And they're like, well, I've got this really 10,000 square foot lot. I've got a lot of room. I don't need a giant backyard. Can't afford to water the grass, so.
And wouldn't want to, even if you could.
Exactly. So let's add more housing. So that's where the city of San Diego is being viewed at the state level of being a poster child for adding more housing and adding affordable housing.
The solutions are out there. We just got to implement them.
Yes, definitely.
Right? Chris, I can't thank you enough for joining us. It was an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for educating us. And that's your platform, is education and insight.
Yes.
And these are easy, these are solutions to, help families, help affordability, and even investors. So thank you so much for joining us, and really, really appreciate it. We will put all the contact information. Please drop a comment. We'll be promoting the Ruland Design Group. We'll put all their information. Please, thank you so much for joining us. Like and share this. And Chris, thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. It's been a
welcome.
pleasure.